Well, look who's gone and stepped out of retirement. Right. Well, I'm not actually coming back to make football content full time because I just can't be bothered to do that. It's a lot of effort. I just thought I'd show my face to comment on the current situations regarding Preston North End and answer the question of what the actual fuck is going on at this club at the moment. It's been making whirlwinds around Twitter and on Sky Sports that I've noticed. Obviously, since Ryan Law left the club a week ago, nearly things have gone into the bin. Now, that's not to say it's because obviously, Ryan was great and he kept the club together, because that's not the case. It really isn't, because let's be real, we had an awful end to the season, and then, we've gone 7 games now as of today without scoring, and it's a shambles. The football wasn't fantastic and we all wanted him gone ages ago. It's just the timing of everything that's so confusing and baffling to so many different people, and that's why it needs addressing, because there's no one else out on a platform like this to address these kind of situations, apart from like the odd, like the second tier podcast, and we all know how we feel about them. So I'm going to try and break it down from obviously a Preston fan's perspective, because there's like when you've been watching Sky Sports News recently, and they were talking about Ryan Law, they were all saying he'd done a brilliant job for the club. They all seem to suck his dick, like big time. I don't know whether or not that's because they're part of his dealing chain. I don't have a clue, but they just seem to have a really massive defence for Ryan Law. But to read the club statements that have been released, to say Preston North End can confirm that Ryan Law has left the club by mutual consent. Ryan joined the club in December 2021, leading us to 13th, 12th and 10th place finishes in his 2.5 seasons as the club's first team manager. Following discussions that took place on Sunday 11th of August, it was mutually agreed that now was an appropriate time for a change to be made. Ryan leaves with the thanks of everyone at the club for his hard work, dedication and commitment, and we wish him and his family the best. And then for our fixtures that we had against Sunderland and Swansea, Mike Marsh, accompanied by Peter Murphy and Jed Evans, will be in charge of the team, and arrangements beyond these 2 fixtures, which have passed, will be worked on and announced in the following week. And that's what we're about to discuss. So, for a bit more clarity then, we'll go to what Ryan Law had to say about his departure, and then I will leave an extra comment on top of that based on some of the things that I've read on Twitter from, say, like some BBC Sports journalists and other people as well. So Ryan said, obviously, as you know, my time at Preston has come to an end. I've had an unbelievable 2.5 years, met some incredible people and coached some fantastic players, but I feel now is the right time to move on. I've had an unbelievable time working with Peter Ridsdale over the last 2.5 years. Thank you to Peter and Craig and the Hemmings family for their support and backing and giving me the opportunity to manage a fantastic club and establish myself as a championship manager. Big thank you also goes to the players past and present for their attitude and application during my time as manager. I'd also like to thank the fans for their support. I think now is the right time for the club to go in a different direction. I've always stressed since I walked through the door that if I can't do the job, then I would leave the job for someone else, and that's what I'm doing. I'm leaving the club in a good place with a fantastic squad, and I just wish the football club and everyone associated it all the best. Ryan. Half of this statement I can agree with. Obviously, Ryan Law's seen a lot of backing from Peter and Craig based on the signings we've made and the money we've spent on some of them, like Osmajic especially. And of course, he's not lying. He has always said if he's going to leave the club, he'd hopefully leave on his own accord, and that's what he's done. And respect for doing so. Obviously, I'll discuss the timing in a second. But leaving the club in a fantastic place with a fantastic squad, not so much. We've had pretty much a very similar squad to what he inherited. It's not much better, and it's just signing all these different players to play the certain positions that we don't have, the coach for. It's a bit of a strange one. Well, yeah, let's see what P. Riddy said about it, shall we? So Peter said, first of all, I wasn't expecting it. Ryan asked to see me yesterday, and I sat down with him, and he said he thought it was time for a change. Obviously, we had a bad end to last season, and we had a difficult game on Friday night, Sheffield United. I think Ryan just felt it was the time to relieve the pressure, go off with his family and spend some quality time, and that's what he's doing. We spent on and off 4.5 hours together yesterday, and it was absolutely clear that he'd made his mind up, and that's what he wanted to do. Therefore, we acknowledged that, recognised that it was probably the right for a change, and respected the choice. Our job now is to build a club and to get the right appointment. For now, the focus is on the next 2 games against Sunderland and Swansea, although there will be plenty of work going on behind the scenes. There's already a long list of potential successors, and Peter was keen to stress that the club will be focused on making the right decision. The minute it was announced, my form went into meltdown, which is what I expected and hoped for, frankly, because this is a very attractive football club. This job's an attractive position. I've always got a list of what happens if, and I just did that thing down this morning. What I'll be doing once I finish all the things we're doing today is to examine who's applied and whose names have been put in. We'll spend a bit of time examining the list, try and whittle it down into what we find potentially attractive and who we find is potentially available and gettable. Some people are under contract, however much we might aspire to talk to them and us, it might not be possible. So that's from Craig Hemming's mouth himself. He's told Peter Ridsdale to get the right man, not the cheap man, and that is a statement that we all love to hear. But you know, from the things I've read, obviously these aren't stated on the club's website, and this is what I'm reading off of right now. The things that I've read online from, say, BBC Sport Lancashire were things such as there had been, like George Hodgson Sport and whatnot, is that there was I believe the shortlist was 85 people, and that was about 5 days ago, and I don't know obviously the progress of that, but there's been numerous names linked with the job, look like, you know, like Paul Heckingbottom, and then fucking obviously David Moyes will obviously get linked, but that's not realistic, is it? You know, Brian Barry Murphy's another one that's just come up. Yeah, so there's a few names floating about at the minute. Even Alex Neil being interested in a return, which I wouldn't be against personally, but yeah, it's a strange time because, like I said, there's plenty of managers available, but the problem is with a football club like this, with the ambitions that, you know, Peter Ridsdale says the club has, we need a manager that's been in and around the Championship before or a higher level. Because, you know, Ryan Lowe was a League 2 manager. There's no sugarcoating that. Frankie McAvoy was nowhere near qualified to do the job. And, you know, it is what it is. Alex Neil was probably the closest we had to getting close to the playoffs after Grayson, that was. So, you know, we do need a manager now. You know, football's changed in the last 10 years and whatnot. We need a manager that's been in and around the higher levels to try and do something with this squad to get them to that level and, you know, play a brand of football that, well, to use Ryan's words, a brand of football that suits the players we have and their playing style, because that's just not what we do. You know, like I said, we have a team full of, you know, good attacking options, but we wanted to play such a defensive system under Ryan Lowe, and it didn't make any sense to me, and that's why we all, you know, begged for a change for a long time. But anyways, we got beat 2-0 off Sheffield United. It wasn't a convincing win at all, by the way. You know, we was only undone by our own errors and a miss and a fucking bit of bad luck. But then we, obviously Ryan left, Mike Marsh took charge against Sunderland. In the Cup, we, you know, showed a convincing 2-0 win against what is Sunderland's B team, let's be real. And we played Swansea last night. We got spanked 3-0 and Mike Marsh has stepped away. I don't think I've ever once in the history of my time researching football known a manager to leave a game into the season and the interim manager to leave a game into his own tenure as well. Like, so this is why the club's in a bit of a mess at the minute, because everyone's flipping the shit because of what's happened. Following today's defeat in South Wales, Mike has thanked the club for the opportunity to take interim charge, but he does not wish to apply for the job on a permanent basis or take the club forward. Mike will therefore leave the club, and with our sincere thanks and best wishes, we'll now concentrate all our time and energy on appointing a new head coach and hope to be in a position to make an announcement in the coming days. So now Peter Ridsdale's been put in a position where he's going to have to try and rush an appointment because we have a game against Luton next week, and that is of course going to be a very tricky game. So we need to get the appointment fucking spot on, and the manager needs to come in and do things really quickly. And like I said, it's making Ridsdale's life difficult because it's, you know, you've got like 6 days now to get a new man in that's going to be able to do a good job. So we're gonna have to whittle down that short list. So it sounds like Peter Murphy and Ched Evans will now be on the touchline provided we don't get an appointment by then. So, you know, Ched Evans, Super White Army and all that. It's a strange one, you know, for the timing. Like I said, it would have made more sense to get rid of Ryan in the pre-season and to do this and to do that, you know, because obviously now we've signed a few more players this window. We've signed 2 wing-backs, even though we're probably not going to be playing wing-backs anymore. It makes no fucking sense. It's such a bad time, you know. It boils down to Ryan not being able to hack it anymore. It's as simple as that, you know. If anyone else saw the statement on Twitter saying, I think it came from George Hodgson, that it was reported that Monday to Friday on the training ground preparation, Ryan loved his time at the club, but as soon as match days hit, the pressure weighed down on him and it became an unpleasant experience. And yes, of course, the fans are a part of that, and Mike Marsh didn't attack us, because I've seen a lot of people gone mad saying, oh, Mike Marsh is attacking the fans now. Marshy didn't attack the fans. All he said was Ryan couldn't handle the pressure of, you know, the fans being in and around the stadium and shouting grief and giving boos because they're not impressed with what they're seeing. It's as simple as that. It's that's all that was. It wasn't an attack at all. It was stating the facts. You know, sometimes Preston fans can be so fickle and up their own arse they don't even see the damage they're causing themselves. And this is a statement that I made. I think it was 2 seasons ago now, when I was in my first season of doing all this shit. when I said that it's not nice how we're going onto these games and the environment's this fucking toxic towards our players and our managers, and it's probably causing a little bit of, you know, discourse on home games. And that was the season where we had an awful home record, you know, and I pointed that out, saying that a lot of these fans need to just calm down and, you know, lower their expectations, and, you know, they're being dicks, and I got a lot of shit for it as well. So it's, you know, you can't say anything about the fans of this club because they will go into meltdown, and it's ridiculous. But other things to mention as well regarding the whole, you know, the stance on the club at the minute as well. That people associate towards Ryan Law losing the dressing room is players that we've had for so long that have been such an influential part of the club. You know, first it was Daniel Johnson, and then of course it's now very clear that Alan Brown has gone to Sunderland. You know, 10.5 years as the Preston North End captain. You don't just leave like that when the club means this much to you. I do believe it was a case that, you know, Alan Brown lost his way with Ryan Law. Ryan Law lost that dressing room, and it caused a lot of problems. And I think that's why Alan Brown, obviously we'll never know, but that's why Alan Brown left it, in my personal theories and hypothesis. But yeah, he doesn't really look. He looks like he's going to be enjoying himself at Sunderland because he's playing football he wants to play again. But when he came off of Sunderland's benches to say hello to his former teammates and have a walk around Deepdale again on Tuesday night, he did not look happy at all. Whether or not that's because he only had to wait a day to you know, maybe see if Ryan Law would go or not. But yeah, we can joke all we want. The club's a mess. So yeah, at the minute, we are managerless, we have no caretaker, we have fuck all at the minute, and I think even the players are in the dark, because in the post-match interview after Swansea, Ben Whiteman said he wants some clarity on what's going on, because it sounds like the players have been left in the dark about everything here. So, you know, this managerial appointment has to go swiftly and it has to be done correctly, otherwise there's going to be a lot of problems for Preston this season, and we will more than likely be nowhere near the top 6, let alone the top 10. We will be in the bottom half of the table this season, and we will potentially be battling to survive this season, which is not nice. It's not a nice thing to think about when you've been in the Championship for 10 years. You know, you want to try and maintain that, but unfortunately it doesn't look likely. But like I said, to a lot of people, last time we wore black, we got relegated. We got a black kit this season, so it's bad omen from start to finish. But no, that's all I have to say. Like I said, just coming from a Preston fan's perspective, because everything you hear on Sky Sports is just a lot of fucking bollocks propaganda, and they pick favourites. I ain't picking no favourites. At the end of the day, Ryan did need to leave the club, but it's just the way he's left and the timing that's causing problems, and then we're having more problems with other people leaving, and yeah, the club's in turmoil. So within the next 2 weeks, provided we don't get this appointment right, I think things are going to go really south for Preston this season. But I don't know if I'll come back and do an update on that, and if I think it's a nice appointment, because like I said, I don't want to be doing these kind of videos no more. I just want to create shit that I have fun creating. I had a good time doing this, don't get me wrong, and I did say I had 2 other videos in the pipeline about, you know, just like a general thank you, but I didn't bother because I thought no one's gonna fucking watch it. So yeah, if this channel does go anywhere again, and I do post anything about Preston, then it'll just be something like talking about kits, because I'm very passionate about the kits and blah blah blah, but that's about it. Anything else that'll come out on this channel will just be any autistic thing that I can create in my free time. So yeah, thanks a ton for listening. Go spread the word. Let me know how you feel about Preston's situation as either a casual or a fan. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go and have a poo.